Well, hello, George. How are you today?
Hi, Lonnie. I'm well. Thanks.
Great. Well, obviously we have you on to chit chat about yourself and your experiences. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, why you're here?
Sure. I'm George, 43, two kids. I live in Situate. I generally like to live a pretty active lifestyle, so I'm a member of Strive, pretty active in the CrossFit side. I also like to do a lot of things outside, whether it's golf or yard work or other sort of running, anything sort of outside. So both in the gym and I think just generally in my life, I like to live a pretty active lifestyle. Of course, that comes with its fair share of elements, which is one of the reasons why I've come to you.
And you've been CrossFitting for how long? Or generally doing CrossFit? And you've worked out for a long time, but like how long have you been doing CrossFit? I forget.
So I've been at it as committed for about 2 years.
Okay.
Is when I joined CrossFit. Before that, I was predominantly running. I did CrossFit maybe 10 years ago for about a year or so before my daughter was born, but the last 2 years has been the most I've ever been sort of committed to CrossFit.
Okay. And I know when you came to us, you had a few things, more an acute, like a recent issue, and then a more acute or a longer term issue. So just tell, one of the main things that I want to get to is, what were some of the frustrations and struggles that you had in that moment that were affecting you? And like, what was your major reason for coming into our office? Because I remember, but I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Yeah, well, I've had both sort of chronic long-term issues and then sort of acute injuries that have happened vis-a-vis CrossFit or otherwise. So I've had really bad T-spine mobility, I think, for a long time. And I think the more you do things like CrossFit, the more those types of issues become evident and they start impeding your ability to sort of do some of the movements that you're trying to do. So I think there was an interest that I had to sort of see if there was a way to tackle some of the chronic things that I've been dealing with, see if it could improve my performance in some of the workouts that we do in CrossFit. And then, of course, there are more acute issues like, pulling a back muscle um,
Oh yeah.
or sort of
Yep.
other types of, injuries that just happen, whether it's from exercise or just playing with the kids or doing other types of things that need to be treated. And so it was sort of both those things,
Mhm.
trying to tackle some of the chronic things that I've been dealing with, and then also just really trying to treat some of the acute injuries that have popped from time to time.
Yeah, because we started with your back and then that got better. And then you did some shoulder work and then
Yes.
now back and then shoulders.
So just kind of go back and forth.
So, I mean, for you, I know that we've worked together for a long time and it's a long road of ups and downs. But what would you say is and of course, we know you're still dealing with some of those things and we're working through it. But what would be something that you would think would be different or define us as unique in our way we approach things or the way we like handle people like yourself and trying to keep you active?
I think that that's the best. You sort of summed it up in the last statement there. Your your intent is to keep us active, keep me active. And I think one of the things I really enjoy about coming in Infinite Potential is that you work with the patient and you don't necessarily try to change the patient. I think that in my experience, in some of the sort of treatment places that I've gone, especially something like CrossFit, which can be quite demanding on your body, and certainly can give rise to its fair share of injuries, there's a tendency and an instinct to say, well, do something else. I think there's an appreciation that you have, which really comes across in your treatment, that hey, you appreciate that, people who and sort of engage in that sort of lifestyle and are active in CrossFit and the community don't want to give that up. What they're trying to do is treat themselves so that they can not only keep doing what they like to do, but also improve at what they're doing. Because that's a major aspect of CrossFit is not just getting in there, but there's so many different aspects that demand practice and improvement, and that's really a big thing that I think keeps people coming back is the opportunity to improve. And the treatment that I've gotten Infinite Potential has given me a lot of optimism that I can actually tackle some of these things that have held me back to achieve the goals that I have, which is to continue to improve and get better.
And to sort of piggyback on that. Now that you have someone like us or like myself, because I'm directly working with you, like in your back, in your corner, like how does that make you feel in regards to your like long-term ability long term to stay active? Like now that you know that you have this resource.
Oh, it's a huge amount of optimism. And I think one of the reasons why I came to you is not only because I was in pain and discomfort and stuff, but I think you're at risk of developing a sense of helplessness because these injuries continue to sort of pop up and you feel them and you feel like they're, especially as you age, naturally things get harder to sort of treat. And so you do get, there is an element of optimism that I think you get by finding the right partner to sort of help you treat some of these things to feel like, okay, well, these may never go away because some of them are really chronic. But I can keep working at them. And that in and of itself will give me the opportunity to continue to improve and live the lifestyle I want. And that's the biggest thing is knowing that there's an infrastructure in place that I have now that I can tap into to continue to advance the objectives and the goals that I have, which again, just maintain an active, healthy lifestyle, active in CrossFit, active in all the other things I like to do without necessarily being in an immense amount of pain when I do them.
Yeah. And I think it's key that you said that these things may never go completely away, which means you were listening, which I know you do listen.
I listen. I
Um,
hear it.
yeah, you hit right. It goes in. And that's key. And I want to get like your general advice for people, but specifically for someone who is wants that quick fix, wants that short-term, easy route to take. We both know that that's not the case. And some may promise these dramatic, oh, I'll get you better in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 sessions, you'll be good to go. That's not what we preach. And sometimes that can be challenging for people. So for someone who is on the fence because of that, what would you say to them? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, I think patience is a virtue, and there's a reason why. It takes time, and much like you can't improve a clean and jerk by 100 pounds in a week, you can't improve or fix chronic ailments that you may have. Look, I mean, physiological reasons that I probably have some of the injuries I have that I can't do anything about. There are also direct result of the active lifestyle I like to live. So it's just a consequence of the lifestyle I like to live. But I know that I have to be patient and consistent with not only the treatment, but with I think the exercises and the drills that you've given me, which I think ultimately I think another great thing about you is the everything you've given me in terms of assignments and work to do is manageable. It's doable. So it doesn't feel overwhelming. I incorporate it into my pre-workout stretch routine or my,
You're doing that today.
evening
Like, there you go. Doing your little stretch.
every day, and every little bit helps. And I think if you're looking for a quick fix in anything in life, you're generally going to be disappointed. So I think you just have to continue to be patient, consistent, and just trust the process and know that if you remain engaged consistently and you do what you should be doing, you will get better. Will you be perfect? No. I mean, again, we're all aging every day. So, the trajectory that we're all on is one that it's going to get harder and harder, but that just demands that we have to be that much more committed and I think that much more patient in terms of, adhering to what you've given in terms of treatment.
Yeah, I think it was powerful for you to say that you have to trust the process. And I was speaking with my other PT yesterday, a couple days ago, about that we were both discussing that there are clients who are most people trust the process for a period of time. Or it like takes them a little bit, they get it, and then sometimes it kind of fades away. And it's so much easier when somebody trusts the process consistently. Maybe it does take a little bit of time. You can't just immediately trust somebody, but maybe a couple sessions, okay, I get this and I'm going to stay committed. And it's so much harder when someone does not, especially right from the get-go and then long term. And I can't thank people enough, people that I've worked with, like yourself and many others that do trust the process, because that's when it really sinks in. My job is not to fix you in 8 sessions. My job is not to, or one session, or however many sessions. I'm not fixing anything. I'm teaching you how to do what you want to do. And many people's goal is to stay active for the rest of your life until you can't anymore. And hopefully that time is a long, long, long time away. And my job is to give you the tools to put in place outside of our sessions to be able to achieve that. And of course, things are going to happen whether you're, 65, 45, or 25. It doesn't really matter. Injuries are going to occur. Of course, as you get older, they do tend to occur a little bit more regularly, but the hope is that you can learn how to manage them. And that becomes
Yeah,
with,
I agree, and I think it just ultimately gets back to what your goals are. And if your goal is to be doing as much as what I'm doing today at 43, at 63, and 73, then you just have to be willing to have patience and and again be consistent in terms of how you approach treatment because things are never a quick fix. And again, as we age and as we get older and as we remain active, things happen, which just underscores the importance of engaging in consistent, deliberate treatment. And I think that's again, I think one other thing that you mentioned, I should have, is this isn't just a treatment. There's an element of coaching that's helped me as well, right? So coaching is say, look, some days go in there and don't necessarily go 150%. It's important that you're laughing because I see I do listen.
I do.
Um, but that's important too, is in terms of it's not just going in and doing stretches for the 45 minutes that I'm with you in our treatment sessions, but it's also having a mindset when you go into your lifestyle to know how to sort of adapt and acclimate to the fact that there are issues and that you have physically. And again, they're not going to go away, but you can make them better as long as you engage in that process and you trust it and you're patient and you're consistent. And those are just things that you somehow have to figure out a way to incubate.
It's hard.
It
It's
is really hard. I'm a super impatient person, but I know the alternative is I'm not patient. I don't do what I'm supposed to, and I'm going to keep going in and doing what I do, and then something really bad's going to happen, and I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do. And so that fear, in a sense, is a bit of a motivator for me to just keep doing what I'm doing and listen and absorb all the coaching and take the treatment and the flexibility exercises that you give me and keep working on that just to improve the probability that, I can keep getting better and also keep living the life I want to live.
definitely. I mean, I should just put you outside and talk to people. I'll pay you just
Deal.
byproduct. No. Well, in all seriousness, I appreciate you saying all that because that's exactly what we try to do. And I know that there are not every, but this isn't for everybody because not everybody's willing to do all that. So when I talk to people for the first time, I always ask, are you willing to put in some work? Are you willing to be patient? And most people are like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then by the first like few sessions, I'm like, no, they're not. And I'll do the best I can. And not everybody sticks around and that's okay. But, um, but yeah, all those things that you said, I really appreciate it. I'm really glad that we've had that impact on you. So thank you.
I am too.
So, well, I think we concluded everything. I mean, I guess the last thing would be just a brief closing of the best advice you would give to someone who has not tried our services yet, who might want to. Like, what would you say is like the biggest important thing that you want to tell those people?
Um, do it. Do it. If you have been thinking about trying your treatment out at Infinite Potential, there's a reason. Something's bothering you, something's holding you back, something's affecting the way that you live your life. Um, it's not going to get better on its own, most likely. And you have to just do it and trust it and really continue to ask yourself the question, what do you want to be doing? um, as you move forward in your life. And if it involves an active lifestyle that you need to have your physical body in as best shape as you possibly can to achieve that goal. And that can't only happen in the gym, unfortunately, because injuries and ailments happen. You need to have a supplemental sort of strategy to tackle the treatment and improve because we all have weaknesses in terms of our physiological makeup or whatever, that those are not going to go away. The best thing we can do is engage in the sort of treatment that you offer and try to tackle those and improve them. Even little, 1%, 2%, it helps. Every little bit helps. So that's all I would say is just just do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It is, people need a nudge, and usually it's a matter of one person tells them, and then they're like, "Yeah, I should," and then another person tells them, "Yeah, I should," and then they're like, "Okay, fine." Like they get hurt in the gym, and like, "All right, I guess I gotta go." So I appreciate that. So we'll tell them to just do it.
There you go. I coined that phrase myself, by the
Great.
way.
Well, thank you, George. I appreciate your time coming on here, and hopefully, people listen like you. So
I do
thank you.
too. Thanks, Lonnie.
Take care.